coverage as I usually like to do, and it's bothering me. So this is going to be an entire Down the Farm show, live show that is dedicated to the action down the farm here in the last couple of days. Also the Sunday game, and then anything we want to cover. We're going to cover the Blake Treinen rehab last night. Blake Snell is going to rehab one more time on Saturday for AAA Oklahoma City there in Reno. I would fully expect that to be his last rehab outing with Oklahoma City. I think they want to get him up to 5 innings. Blake Treinen, I'm going to say it again, be ready for the back-to-back. Jiren Elkins hit a grand slam last night. Christian Romero turned in maybe the best outing of the year for the Loons. We're going to get into that. Logan Wagner had a big walk-off. So in the system last night, you had the big comeback win, the walk-off from the Dodgers, the bounce back there. That started the day off. Then the first game in the minor league session, because Great Lakes is Eastern time, so they start earlier than everybody. They start at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock my time, 4 o'clock Pacific. Great Lakes had a walk-off. So the two first games in the system yesterday, both walk-offs. Tulsa, they pitched well at times. Couldn't get anything going offensively, although Chris Newell and Cole Myers both had good days. They were the only team that lost in the system. Oklahoma City won, and then Rancho Cucamonga, they won as well on the backs of the Jiren Elkins Grand Slam. So, hey, we have a great crowd on YouTube. We have a great crowd on Instagram. I'm going to cover all of the action in the system for the last couple of days, and I'm going to do it as I am monitoring the chat. So I will monitor the chat. If there's any prospect as we do this that you would like to see, then just put it in the chat and we will absolutely get to it. And so with that, let's get to our videos. Let's not waste some more time, and let's take a trip down on the farm. So actually you're seeing the opening banner there. So there it is. There's Blake Treinen right there. This is Blake Treinen last night, and boy, was this a good outing for him. Blake Treinen threw 1 inning scoreless, and to be honest with you, he was completely dominant. Now, I don't have any inside information. I say this all the time, and I know when I talk to Blake Treinen, he's very nitpicky about himself, but I'm going to say this very point blank, and I'm going to say this very confidently, that Blake Treinen last night, that's the Blake Treinen you wanted to see if you want to bring the guy up. I mean, it was one dominant inning. So if you look at this, he struck out the first 2 hitters he faced. He got a liner to Alex Freeland on a nice play. He was 95 to 96 on the fastball. That right there. He threw three sweepers. Here's the deal: what he wasn't happy with the other day was that with this sweeper, he was pulling it. So he threw 3 sweepers. You've seen 2 of them right here. The 2 that were in the zone. So 3 sweepers, 2 of them for strikes. The high riding fastball was in the zone very well. And of course, the organization has a bunch of information and goals and benchmarks they're looking for with rehab outings. There's a change up there too. And we aren't privy to that. We never will be, never should be. But if it were up to me, the back-to-back would happen today. You're coming off the Monday game. And so, and the day, actually, excuse me, what I meant was you have the ability right now to back-to-back with Blake Treinen, give him his back-to-back, get him back up to Los Angeles. I think he's ready. And so Blake Treinen with a really, really nice rehab outing. And then another guy, more reinforcements coming. We had a huge show last night with Austin. I had a whole lot of fun as we went really back and forth. I messaged Austin last night and this morning, actually. Hey, great job on the back and forth. There was a lot of back and forth in last night's show. I fired a lot of bullets at you, and you kept firing back and handled the whole thing like a total pro. So give Austin Brubaker a hell of a lot of credit for the wonderful job he did on last night's show. So we covered a lot of the trade talk. That's why I want to do Down the Farm today. This is Blake Snell. It has been announced that Blake Snell will have, this is from his last rehab outing, he will have 1 more rehab outing in Reno, and then the Dodgers will reassess. I would assume that would be his last outing in Oklahoma City. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to type this in on the YouTube side and the TikTok side. If you have any questions? ANY. If I can type here, I got a new trackball mouse and I love it. But there is, if you've ever worked with the trackball mouse with the ball on the side, instead of moving your mouse, it is awesome, but there is somewhat of a learning curve to it. So give me a chance here. Hey, Chuck Huddleston, how are you doing this morning? If you have any prospects you want me to cover, just let me know. No doubt about that. So Blake Treinen, Saturday, probably his last rehab. I can't confirm that. But if you held a gun up to my head and made me make a decision one way or the other, I would be very, 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 very confident that this would be his last outing. Let's just hope it's a good one. He gets to, let me put you this way. If it's a good outing Saturday for Blake Snell, if I call Blake Treinen Blake Snell and back and vice versa, just know what I'm saying. I get tongue twisted like that quite a bit. Just know if it's an outing that's good enough for Blake Snell on Saturday, tomorrow, and he goes 5 innings, I think that makes it a slam dunk. So be on the lookout for Blake Snell, and we'll monitor the situation there with him when he's able to come back with LA. You know, the Dodgers, we know as well as anybody, they need pitching. Spurs certainly, relief pitching, Blake Treinen will be a godsend. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline. Here's another guy that's not on the 40-man, threw really well last night, Sam Carlson. The ERA is approaching 5, so it hasn't been perfect. What it's been for Sam Carlson was a really good start, a really frustrating kind of patch after his good start, and now he's starting to throw the ball a lot better, and kind of like he was at the beginning of the year, although he's throwing his cutter a lot more. So I love these East and West guys, you know, with these modern-day hitters that swing up at the ball. What beats that a lot of times is that the high-riding four-seam, so a lot of hitters have flattened their swings, so now pitchers are starting to go East and West with the cutters and sliders. He actually, Sam Carlson, you know, his bread and butter is his two-seam that rides in on right-handers, and it has great movement and great life. It's not like 100 miles an hour. It's like 94, 95, probably 93 to 95. So it's not like a million miles an hour, but it has great movement, and it really gets in on right-handers. So the calling card, the bread and butter, whatever you want to call it for Sam Carlson, is his two-seam. But last night he threw, at least the way it was tagged, more cutters than he did anything else. And he only tagged that throwing two sinkers. So I think there were some pitches that were tagged incorrectly. But I think that's a new development. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been – there's that cutter there. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. But more cutters for Sam Carlson last night than any other pitch, and a really good outing for him. Matter of fact, he threw, of all the 17 pitches, he threw 10 cutters. So great outing for Sam Carlson. And I'll tell you another guy, I've been telling you, if you've been following Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, another guy I've been telling you has been throwing the ball exceptionally well, at least on most of his outings. A lot of these guys, they throw really well, and then they'll have a real clunker. And as a reliever, when you only go one inning at a time, if you have a clunker, it's so hard to make your stats look good. But this is Julian Fernandez. To me, and I took this video, I noticed even before I took this video, hey, the fastball's approaching 100. The high rider at the top is really good, and he has caught my eye. I know he went up. There's that nice slider. I know he went up. The Dodgers didn't have a good outing, but that is what it is. I mean, you only have one outing. There's absolutely not anything to take away from that. So from the eyeball test, I love what I'm seeing from Julian Fernandez. I would have zero issues if the Dodgers called him up. You know, Austin talked about last night a lot of the quantity versus quality. I would have zero problems if Julian Fernandez was brought to the major leagues as that quantity guy, because he has really good stuff. I mean, it's 100 miles an hour at the zone. You're seeing that sweeper / slider there. His four seam he's throwing strikes with it. As a matter of fact, he landed his four seam last night 67% of the time. And Julian Fernandez has walked just 2 hitters in his last 7 outings. And I can tell you, if there's one thing that I am tired of seeing, that is the Dodgers bullpen at the major league level walking hitters. I'm just really tired of seeing that. So to see a guy like Julian Fernandez that is not walking guys at the moment, that is something that is appealing to me, especially whenever you match that with really good stuff, 100-mile-an-hour stuff, and stuff that is really getting past AAA hitters. So Julian Fernandez has done a really good job, at least to me, from an eyeball perspective, has done a good job. So let me get to another guy here that's had a rough year, and I want to give him some love because I love the guy. Just a wonderful young man, good baseball player. He has struggled with AAA velo. I'm not going to lie about that. Not going to hide it. I love to see my boy Gator get 4 hits last night. Now, here's the deal. His issue has been handling velo. Last night, the velo was 89, 90, 91, 92. So he took advantage of that. That's fine. But when you have a hitter like Austin Gauthier that has such good bat-to-ball skills, then, see, you got a chopper right there, just puts the ball in play, then he can get hot. And once he gets hot, he can shoot high velo to right field and get hot from there. So the batting average is like 225 right now, which for a guy that doesn't hit a whole lot of home runs, that needs to be a lot better. He knows that. I'm not, like Coach Holt says, I'm not going Abner Doubleday with that comment. I mean, if he heard that, he'd be like, well, yeah, no duh. The batting average needs to be better than 225 unless you're hitting, like mammoth home runs and hitting one every night. So, but the thing about it is he can get hot, and Austin Gauthier, we've seen in the past, has been a guy that can not only rack up high batting averages, he can also be a guy that walks as much as he does strikes out. So good to see just kind of a bounce back for Austin Gauthier last night. Hopefully he can finish very strong and end up, I always talk about there's a beginning and middle and an end to the season. So let's hope the end of this season he finishes strong and does well. Here's another guy, Nick Senzel, who has been hitting very well. We know that he has major league experience. The Dodgers went and got him out of Mexico, and he came over to the Dodgers and really got off to a slow start. He was with Tulsa for like 2 games, came to Oklahoma City, and really just kind of struggled. So it's really good to see. I had a chance to interview Nick. Wonderful young man, went to Tennessee. He grew up in Knoxville. So he's just a proud Tennessee alum, a proud Vol, no doubt about that. And he brings his kids to the game, and he hits balls off the tees with his kid. He puts the ball on his tee for his kid, and his kid gets to hit the ball on the field off of a tee. It's just really a major league experience when you're around Nick Senzel. Tark the Shark, thank you so much for joining Chuck. I'm listening and packing for a cross-country trip to Boston. Hopefully you get to see Coach Holt there, Ela Shiva, return of River Ryan. I have no possibility that Kyle Hurt will be pitching to batters at the middle of August. So that'll be here before too long. I think he'll be ready to pitch in games probably a little bit after that. So I don't think Kyle Hurt, with his lack of experience, will be a factor this year. I just don't think that they will push that. Now, I do think that he will pitch some with Oklahoma City, but I just don't think that they'll push that envelope. And because they won't have time, especially if it stays around a 3-game lead, they won't have time to experiment a guy like Kyle Hurt, who is, yes, very talented, but not very experienced at all. So, Nick, that's Kyle Hurt. That's kind of my opinion on that. But good to see Nick Senzel have a really good night last night for AAA Oklahoma City. And as we move to AA Tulsa, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about other than I wanted to bring your attention. We talked at length last night about all of the outfielders in the system, and rightfully so. Eduardo Quintero, Mike Sirota. We talked about Josue De Paula, Zaire Hope. Rightfully so. Those guys are great players. Do not sleep on Cole Myers. I have seen this guy with my own eyes. Well, actually, I have not put up the video on the board. This is still Nick Senzel. My apologies for that. Let me get some actually, there's one hit. There's the home run right there let me play that home run one more time. There. Okay, and now let me get to last night's action, of which my beautiful bride of soon-to-be 26 years and I are going to T-Town tonight. Hopefully going to get some interviews from maybe the manager, Eric Wedge. We'll see who all I can grab. And we're going to see Jackson Ferris pitch. This is going to be the second outing in a row for Ferris that we're going to get to see with our own eyes. I am going to sit behind home plate tonight, so I am super excited about that. But Cole Myers, 2 hits last night for AA Tulsa. He moved his average up to 280, and he has hits in 3 of his last 5 games. And He and 2 of his last 4, and he has multi-hit games, I should say, in 2 of his last 4. Cole Myers is a guy, I'm telling you, he has a lot of strength and an incredible amount of speed. So put Cole Myers, hey, maybe not up in the upper echelon with the DePaulas and Hopes and Sorotas and Quinteros because he's a little bit older, but he has great skill. I mean, he's a great outfielder, great defender, blazing fast. Maybe the second fastest guy in the system. By the way, Kendall George, we're going to get to him. I would have to think Kendall George is the fastest guy in the system, and we'll go over that here in a minute. Maybe it's Jiren Elkins, who we're going to cover him here in a minute too, and maybe, but I think it would probably be between Jiren Elkins, Cole Myers, and, well, maybe Esteury Ruiz. I would have to see the times to first, and maybe they're, one's faster from home to first, the other's faster stealing bases. One other faster maybe is tracking down balls in the outfield. So just because you have a clock speed doesn't mean you're faster at every movement in the game. But having said that, Cole Myers, let's just say this, is one of definitely the fastest players in the entire system, and he had a good night last night. And another outfielder that is just uber talented. I mean, just treasure troves of talent. It is playing with the AA Tulsa Drillers, Chris Newell. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's having a great year. I'm not going to tell you he's put it together. I'm not going to sit here and say any of that and sugarcoat anything about Chris Newell's season. He leads the Tulsa Drillers in home runs with 11. That's great. But he strikes out a lot, and the batting average just recently climbed over 200. So I'm not going to sugarcoat and talk about anything about that as far as the output this year. But what I'm going to say about Chris Newell, and he said it in our interview, this is a guy with just a couple of adjustments and or just maybe the light bulb goes off. There is nobody with better tools in the entire system than Chris Newell. Now, tools equals potential. And I learned a long time ago from Coach Holt that the definition of potential means that you haven't done squat yet. That's literally the definition of potential. So to this point, Chris Newell's had a couple of good moments early in his career, but he has underperformed quite drastically, in my opinion. And a matter of fact, he actually said in his own interview that he hasn't shown all that he has to offer in the ways of impacting games. And I mean this in a positive manner towards him because I think that much and that highly of his ability and potential. But again, potential means you haven't done anything yet. But he has as much potential and as many tools as any player, and the ability to impact a game if he gets things right, as any player, certainly any outfielder in the Dodgers system. So I wanted to show you Chris Newell and his good night last night. And then sticking with the AA Drillers, here's a guy likely you're going to go, yeah, I think I've heard of this guy. Now what is it? Who? Kelvin Ramirez. Okay, Kelvin Ramirez. I didn't realize just how big of a dude he is. Look at that. Just dirty changeup. Kelvin Ramirez very quietly, has been really awesome. And he is known to go on really long heaters. Matter of fact, to start last year, he went on a heater to start the season where he went 12 of 13, actually to start this year. Okay, let me read this. Ramirez started this year, let's start with that, going 8 of 9 games scoreless. Then he started last year going 10 of 11 scoreless. He had a month stretch last year where he had 9 scoreless outings in a row, and he hasn't given up a run in his last 6 outings so far in this stretch, and in 12 of his last 13. That's a fastball right there approaching 100. That is a dirty changeup. That is a big old hombre, and that is a really good relief pitcher. The Tulsa Drillers had some electricity in their pen. So did the Oklahoma City Comets. That actually was a slip because I'm looking at the hat right now. But Kelvin Ramirez is one of them. We talk about Jason Cabrera. He's another kind of a deceptive guy because you don't hear a whole lot about him. But keep Kelvin Ramirez in your thoughts because This guy is really, really good. And at the moment, well, and really for basically the last 2 years, he's been good. So although Tulsa is not a great team, they have a lot of frustrating moments. A lot of times, to be honest with you, they're not even fun to watch because they don't hit the ball. And then it seems like when they do hit the ball, their pitching's not. It was kind of like just like the Dodgers stretch. It's just nothing's in sync, nothing's clicking. So I'm not trying to say anything about that, but they do have some electric arms, with Kelvin Ramirez certainly being one of them. Hey, at the high A level, remember Christian Romero last year? He was the guy that he was the Sean Paulignon. He went straight from Rancho all the way up to Oklahoma City. Matter of fact, did that, I think, twice last year. Struggled, of course, at the AAA level, and then got sent back down to High A Great Lakes. And here he is at High A Great Lakes again, and not having just an unbelievably ridiculous year or anything like that, but he did have an unbelievably ridiculous night last night. So Christian Romero gets the Oh Hell Yeah award last night. Check this out. So what you're seeing right here is the top of the 10th inning, and we'll get to that here in a minute. Romero posted 6 scoreless innings. He came in after Maddox Bruns, who did not have a good start. We're just going to say that. Not a good start for Maddox Bruns. It's one of those deals coming off injury. Maddox Bruns will show potential. They have a great start, and you're like, all right, here we go. And then he'll give up like 5 runs in 4 innings like he did last night. It just is what it is. Maddox Bruns very talented. But again, just the consistency piece is what he's searching for, and he hasn't found it yet. So we'll just put it to you that way. Christian Romero came in as the piggyback after 4 innings from Maddox Bruns. He threw the last 6 innings and posted a scoreless all 6 innings, and he was just one bloop double. I mean, like a 32-mile-an-hour just dinker right over the first baseman's head from having a perfect game. Now, it wouldn't go down as a perfect game because he came in the 5th inning, but his part of it, all but one hitter who just hit a dinker double down the right field line, just barely over the first baseman's head. His part of it was perfect other than that one double. So he gave 6 scoreless innings, was almost perfect. Then in the top of the 10th inning, the ball was hit back to him. He got the placed runner out of third base, then gave up a double. So he had runners at second and third, 2 outs, and then struck the last guy out. There's the double right there. See that piece of crap? Gosh, dang it. That's the only thing that kept Christian Romero from being perfect in his 6 innings last night. So he got the placed runner, threw him out of third. He gave up a double, had runners at second and third, and then struck out a guy and sent it to the bottom of the 10th inning. And we're going to talk about the bottom of the 10th inning and what happened in the bottom of the 10th inning right here and right now. As long as I can find it, this is a little bit anticlimactic. There it is. So the bottom of the 10th inning, walk off. Logan Wagner, that a baby, right into right center. Game over. Loons on the field. The Loons are celebrating, and the Sky Carp are not very happy about it. So how about that? Jordan Thompson had a good night. You just saw him score there. Jordan Thompson had a couple of hits as well. So Christian Romero, no doubt about it, was an absolute rock star last night. He was just simply fantastic. Logan Wagner also had the walk-off. You had 2 hits from Jordan Thompson, and you had a bases load. So you had a grand slam in the system last night, and you also had a bases-loaded triple from Cameron Decker that scored 3 runs. The Loons were down 4-0 in like the 6th inning, and they were struggling mightily to generate any kind of offense. They had got a couple of walks, and then Cameron Decker cleared the bases with the triple, and away we went. So let's get to our next Loon, Kendall George. Kendall George, last night, stole his 50th base of the year. Okay? This is a 3.64 to first base. That's insane. 4.0 to first base is considered very fast for a major leaguer. 3.64 is just stupid fast, okay? And so last night, Kendall George, let's open up the stolen base file, stole his 50th base. Now sit down, get your popcorn. Kendall George is the fastest player in the history of the Loons franchise to get to 50 stolen bases, and he passed last night. Yes, he passed D. Gordon. Kendall George passed D. Gordon last night as the fastest player to 50 stolen bases. Just stole third base without a throw. Now, is he a great hitter? Is he gathering just a ton of hits? No, but he is slapping the ball the other way. He is getting on base. The hit tool needs to improve. The strength needs to improve. All of that needs to improve. So I'm not saying Kendall George needs to be in LA tomorrow and you need to expect Brett Butler out of him. I'm not trying to tell you that, but I am trying to tell you he has maybe the biggest carrying tool of any player in the system, and that is his speed, 3.64 to first base and 50 stolen bases, the fastest Loon in the history of the organization to get to those 50 stolen bases. So Kendall George, just absolutely incredible speed. Unlike anybody else, I think he's Jiren, the guy we're getting ready to talk about next, might have a say-so. I've never clocked him to first base. I have never clocked Jiren Elkins trying to steal or any of that. I don't know a 60 time, but I do know Jiren Elkins is very fast. He leads the California League in stolen bases, and he can also do this. So, if you want to move Jiren Elkins to the outfield, put this guy in that bushel of outfielders that even if you get rid of maybe a DePaula or a Hope to go get an elite closer, put this guy in that bushel of guys that have a tremendous amount of potential to be a great outfielder because he's a treasure trove of tools. There's no doubt about that. And Jiren Elkins last night, he usually shows off his speed. Last night he showed off his power and he hit a grand slam for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. And the guy I want to get to on the mound that pitched last night. This is the last video we're going to show from last night's action. Then I'm going to get into some of the Tuesday night's action. But this is Yanni Jimenez. Yanni Jimenez, good 2-inning out. This is a big dude. Look at this guy. That is a long, tall drink of water right there. Yanni Jimenez, he goes up a ways. So, if you're going to be looking up at him, you're going to have to do it for a while because he goes up a ways. Good fastball. This is a guy that is pitching with a lot of confidence. He has a good slider. And what I like about him, he also has a split change, actually. Let's just call it a split change. So a good split change for Yanni Jimenez, a really good fastball, and also the slider as well. So that's all the action from last night. So now I'm going to kind of just jump around. I'm going to go ahead and get back in and log over and read some of the chat and see if you guys have any prospects that you have mentioned in the chat that you want me to cover. So, wow, what a great crowd we have. Thank you so much for logging in. Kendall George, I agree. Tark the Shark, ideal leadoff hitter for the Dodgers in the future. You can't teach speed. Totally agree. Bruce Davis, so Dodgers got Esteri Ruiz. He is fast, yes. Kim is very fast, too. Yeah, that would be another guy. Thanks for reminding me of that, Bruce, to compare who is the fastest guy in the league. Is the strike ball challenge system used at all minor leagues level? No, just the AAA level, and it absolutely worked. Is Robo being called up? He's better than Yates. He should be if he's not. I don't have information on that, Craig, but Robo has been pitching very, very, very well. Cole says, is Ramirez's arm action harder to hit? I don't see a lot of pitchers with an arm action over the top like that. Well, what it does, it makes his changeup very good. So what makes it good, it's not necessarily the deception, in my opinion. What makes it good, Cole, is because he's more over the top, he gets better tumble. Actually, let me go ahead and get Ramirez back on the board. And since we actually have a request about Ramirez and his arm action, let me get him back on the board. And let me go ahead and just talk about it as we're looking at it. Kelvin Ramirez here, because he's one of those underrated guys that unless you follow Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, you've probably never heard of him because he's just one of those guys that he's not a top 30 or any of that. He's not one of those names like a Josue Paul or whatever. So yes, over the top. So what that does is it allows him to have a fastball that rides very well. It allows him to have natural tumble to his changeup, and his changeup also has very good fade because he knows how to pronate it. But really what it does for him too, he's a natural pronator. So watch this left turn. Boom. So as he pronates, this is the right turn here. What I want you to show here is with his motion and the way his legs, look where he lands, okay? See how he lands? That allows him to turn the ball left. So the motion actually, to me, gives him maybe not a natural way, but more of from a motion and mechanical way to turn the ball left. We saw him turn the ball right. See, this ball is going to turn left right there. We saw him turn the ball right with his changeup. Watch this, okay? Right there. That's natural to him. He doesn't have to try to do that. Now turn the ball left. There you go. Plus the high rider. And so that's a really good. Well, this is why Dodgers Dawgs is part of the Dodgers Daily Network, is the best chat, not the biggest, but the best chat on earth. Cole, that is absolutely A+ elite stuff right there. I love seeing, says Chuck Huddleston, all these great arms, Casey. Who is going to separate themselves from the pack? Boy, that is a great question. I can tell you where my mind goes right off the bat. See, that's another, Chuck, just elite question. Elite question. That is just absolutely awesome. Ronan Kopp. This guy is fire. I mean, he is fire. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Last year, a little bit the year before that, he was struggling to throw strikes. He has a big leg kick. Major leaguers are going to steal him blind. But this dude has stuff. I mean, he has stuff. He looks just like Madison Bumgarner, as you can tell there. I mean, look how he reaches back. Now, you tell me, how are you going to pick this ball up? Try to pick this ball up as a hitter right here. When do you pick it up? I mean, you do not. You see it behind his back. Then you literally don't see it until it's on top of you. Now, keep in mind, he has hit 100 miles an hour with it. And then that slider there is absolutely dirty. I mean, it's devastating. And the thing about him, see that's a great pitch. The thing about his slider is that it changes shapes. So I've asked him like 100 times, and he's probably getting tired of me asking. Same with DA, the pitching coach there at Oklahoma City. Surely he's throwing it. See, that looked like a cutter to me. Let me back that up. You tell me, is this not a cutter? Watch this. You've seen those two really nice dirty sliders? That's a cutter. I mean, at least it looks like to me. So it probably shapes like a cutter, but here's what happens with Kopp. It's not intentional. Okay, I lost my mouse. There it is. It's not intentional. So with him, the harder he throws, the less movement he gets. So unintentionally, sometimes it'll come out 89, sometimes it'll come out 93. So if it comes out 93, it's going to shape more like a cutter. If it comes out 89, it's going to shape more like a slider. He doesn't have to do anything consciously or intentionally. It just happens every single time. And I'm telling you, when you're sitting behind home plate like this, like I was, it is awesome. His slider fastball combo, he is Ronan Kopp, man. He is just absolutely fire right now. So look for Ronan Kopp to make an impact. Hey, probably not with LA this year. Stranger things have happened, but it's getting down to the end of the season. But Ronan Kopp squarely has put himself in position to, at the very least, make an impact, maybe a big impact at the major league level next year. Yes, Elishiva Jones, Giovanni Gallegos has major league experience. He is going to be out for the remainder of the year. At least that's the report that I got last time that I brought him up. So Chuck says it seems like Kike is more injured than first thought. That would make the Freeman call up make sense. The Freeland one, it sounds like Muncy will be back soon. Okay, so if you have any requests about any more prospects that you want to hear about, this is Racy Auto Parts. Hey, Racy, thank you so much for joining. If the Dodgers weren't able to land any relievers and trade, which two AAA relievers would you recommend? You're looking at one right here. The second one we've already covered. The first one that I would send up that's in the crop of, and this would have included Alexis Diaz, okay? The first reliever I would have sent up would have been Julian Fernandez. You got to be careful with Robo because I think he only has one more time you can option him. So once you send Robo up, I think he has to stay. I don't think you can send Robo back down. I think that's why he's with Oklahoma City right now. Julian Fernandez easily would be the first guy I would send up to L.A. Now, again, I know he didn't have a good outing, okay? And when he was with L.A., this guy's impressive, okay? And then I'm telling you right now, I would consider bringing up Ronan Kopp, putting him on the 40-man, and I would consider that. I think those are the two guys that are throwing the best. That's just my opinion. And then another guy that we've covered also today that I would trust, I would love to see Sam Carlson get a shot. I think if you gave him the right matchups, if you gave him the right teams, that kind of thing, and you made him an east-west type of guy, let him throw that cutter, let him throw his sinker. I think Sam Carlson's been around long enough. He's very talented. I think he could help as well. Either Shiva, Sirota is done for the year. Casey, we have a question about Alexis Diaz. So let's get to Alexis Diaz. And his last outing, hey, not a bad outing. It relied on a lot of chase. I think if you look at the numbers, he has a nice little slingshot. If you look at the numbers, it looked good. I think it was a little bit jaded in the sense that it looked a little bit better than it actually was because he's in AAA and he had to get a lot of chase to get his outs. Here's my question. If Alexis Diaz is at the major league level and major leaguers are not chasing, so he's having to actually throw all of his pitches in the zone to get major leaguers to swing, I'm not convinced Alexis Diaz won't get hit pretty hard. That's just my opinion. We'll see. At the moment, I like where Julian Fernandez is at better than Alexis Diaz. Now, certainly I hope Alexis Diaz proves me dead ass wrong on that. And I know he was with LA the other day. He made an outing. And so I hope he proves me dead ass wrong. I always do. But you ask a question, that's where I'm at on that. That's my honest opinion on Alexis Diaz there. So Cole says, Casey, will Bobby Miller make it back to the majors with the Dodgers? Is the bullpen his future? The thing about Bobby Miller is that you can watch him. Like I watched his first 2 innings the other day, and he was dominant. And it's like, come on, Bobby, hang on to it. Come on, Bobby, let's go. Bobby, let's go. Come on, let's make it through 6 of these babies. You can do it. And then, damn it, every time, like the 3rd or 4th inning, there's a blow up. I mean, it's frustrating. He will not make the major leagues this year. If he does, never say never. If he does, a lot of things would have to change between now and then. As far as the reliever part, I mean, I don't know that he's reliable to move to the pen. So do you want a guy in the 8th inning that you're not quite sure if he's going to throw strikes? Do you want a guy pitching in your 8th inning that you're not sure about his mentality and whether he can make it through adversity or if he can control his emotions? Really, I mean, do you want that guy throwing the 8th inning? That's why I'm hesitant to move a guy like that to the pen. Same with Dustin May in terms of the later half. I wouldn't mind him being a piggyback type of guy like they did the other day with Dustin May. So if he does have a rough day, you at least have 4 or 5 innings to overcome it. But the bullpen thing to me, somebody's going to have to explain to me why that makes sense for a guy that doesn't always throw strikes and doesn't always control his emotions. That, to me, does not make any sense. I understand that's a lot of times where starters that had struggle, that's where they end up. So I think that's likely where that idea is coming from. But I just don't think his makeup right now is made for that. And I'll say that and say, just like Alexis Diaz, I certainly hope that he proves me very, very, very wrong. We have a question about Jared Karros. Boy, we have a great crowd that is asking just absolutely awesome questions. This is what I love to do right here. Just cruise through all of these prospects. Jared Karros will not be back this year. Very disappointing. I said many times in the offseason, Jared Karros had as much momentum as any pitcher in the organization. I thought he had a chance to ETA this year. He would have. If Jared Karros just would have continued pitching like he did last year, he would have already been in the major leagues. I don't know if he put that kind of pressure on himself or what, but he did not get off to a good start. He just was not good at the beginning of the season, and it was because he was getting hit. I mean, AA hitters were hitting him, point blank. He went on the dev list, and I don't think he's coming back this year. So very disappointing year for Jared Karros, 100%, because will they trade for any of their players? I'm not real versed on the Boston roster, Craig. I will shoot that to Austin, and I will have Austin answer that as far as on another one of our live shows. But I'm not real versed on their players, so I have to do research on that first. It doesn't come natural to me. So I'm going to pass that to Austin, Craig, if you don't mind there. But super, super disappointed for Jared Karros that this year just simply didn't work out. Hey, Bruce says, I really don't know much about farm system. Sorry, just a few players, so I'll keep luring from Casey. Yeah, that's Bruce Davis. You're going to learn more if you continue to watch. So, hey, that's all I got today. The Beautiful Bride and I. Let me go ahead and click that back. I'd like to get to a few more. I might do another Down the Farm tomorrow just so I can get to a few more of, I need to cut this over here, a few more of the prospects that I want to get to. So I'm tomorrow. Yeah, I might go live tomorrow, get to a few more of the prospects. Hey, if you have any prospects, bring them loaded. We won't have a major league game to talk about tomorrow. Coach Holtz in Boston. I'll be by myself. Whatever prospects you want to talk about, load it up. Let's go. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I want to get to Antonio Knowles. I want to get to some other guys I want to get to tomorrow. Robinson Ortiz, I want to cover him. I want to cover Kyle Nevin. No doubt about that. Alex Freeland, we can talk more about him. And so there's still a lot of guys. Logan Wagner, we talked about him today. Maybe Cam Day, somebody like that. And I want to talk about Patrick Copen, his last great outing. So there's a lot of guys I wanted to get to today. We can wait and get to them tomorrow. Matter of fact, let's just plan on that. And then also let's get to all the prospects that you want to talk about. And so, homework for the Dodgers Dogs night. I don't give homework very much. I've been a teacher for 30 years. I very rarely give homework. I tell my kids, you do your work in class, you won't have homework. Here's why. I wouldn't ask you to do anything I don't want to do. And I can tell you, when my ass leaves the classroom to leave the day, I'm not thinking about school anymore. I'm not going to give myself homework. I'm not going to do lesson plans on my own time, so I wouldn't ask you to do the same thing. So I say that to say this is a rare occasion. You have homework. Tonight, think about the prospects you want to talk about tomorrow, and we will do that on the show. So, hey, I want to thank you, everybody, for tuning in. What a great crowd we've had. Got to get. So thank you again for tuning in. And as always, just one last reminder, it's a great day to be a Dodger.